There are so many things about the British culture that shock a lot of people when they first come into the UK. I myself was shocked by a lot of things. Today, we'll be taking a look at the things that shock these Americans and how they relate to me, because I feel like I'm going to be able to relate to a lot of these things. So do not forget to subscribe, do not forget to like this video, do not forget to comment what you want me to react to, and let's get right into the video.
Hey guys, I'm Eric.
And I'm Grace. We're the Wandering Ravens.
And today we are going to tell you 10 things that were culture shock for us when we arrived here in England.
Okay. I can already think
The
of
first thing
a
that
few of
shocked us
them.
when we arrived in England was just how many foreigners there are in London.
We'd always heard that London was multicultural, but just the extent of foreigners that were there was really shocking to us. And not in a bad way. It was just surprising because we were coming to England, we're like, oh, there's probably going to be a lot of English people and we'll be hearing lots of English. But when we were in public, about 90% of the languages we were hearing around us were foreign languages and not English.
Pretty much everywhere was represented in London, so that was really cool. And to just hear all of the different languages, because we feel like, I mean, Seattle's pretty multicultural as well, but not to the extent of London.
No way.
Just all of the languages and everyone speaking different languages in like the restaurants. We'd be sitting at our table and each table was speaking a different language.
This happened every time we
Yeah,
went
pretty
to
much every time.
basically.
There'd be like the table of Koreans. We could always hear them because
Korea!
we understand a tiny bit of Korean, so we were like,
We lived in Korea for 2 years,
yeah,
for those
so
of you
we're
who
like,
don't know.
the Koreans, French people, Eastern European people, just everywhere. Number two!
Number 2!
Well, to be honest, I can understand why they're shocked by that, but I wasn't shocked by that because I knew about it. I read a lot about it, and I knew there were going to be a lot of people from other places in the world in England.
Subways are really small. It was actually shocking because our experience with subways is in Korea and Japan, and these subways are very wide. There's lots of standing room. They're also very tall, but the tube, as it's called in London, actually looks kind of like a tube. Yeah, it made sense.
It's like not tall, or at least the ones that we rode on were not tall, like all the way across on the ceiling, but
It's
it's kind of
not
like
like a boxcar.
curved or whatever. You
Yeah.
know, it's kind of like curved. Maybe not all of them are that way, but the ones that we rode on were that way, so
Yeah.
it was interesting.
It was just surprising and shocking how small the tube was, at least the tubes that we rode.
To be honest, I wasn't really shocked about the tube as a mode of transport. I was just shocked about how there is a lot of like different kinds of modes of transport, and it's just easy to get around in London. You don't even need to have a car. That shocked me a lot.
To number 3. I love how English people wait patiently for people who are on the tube to get off before getting on the tube themselves. That is something after living in Korea for a couple years, you'll know that is not the case. As soon as the subway doors open and the train stops, everyone in Korea is just like pushing everybody else and getting on
Battle
the
Royale.
subway as fast as they can. So it was nice to go to a place where everyone just stands aside and waits for those people who are on the train to get off, which is what should happen.
This was actually so shocking that the very first time we rode the tube, when the doors opened and everyone was waiting for people to get off, Grace turned to me and made that observation. She's like, oh my gosh, they're waiting for people to get off. What is this?
Madness.
Number 4.
Okay, so this actually shocked me a lot. My first few days here, as soon as people got off, I always try to like go in, and people would look at me like, where is this guy from? This guy is weird and stuff. And that was how I knew and I learned to wait for people to get off first, because as a Nigerian, it's first come first serve. You have to find you and struggle and squeeze your way through. So yeah, that actually shocked me, and I'm glad that is the case, because it taught me a bit of patience.
This is just a really quick one, but light switches here are different than they are in the States, and whereas in the States and Korea and other countries, you flip on to turn the light switch on,
Flip up, yeah.
flip up to turn it on, and flip down to turn it off. Here, yeah, from what we've seen, you flip up to turn it off and flip down to turn it on.
Number 5.
Okay, so in Korea, I think Korea kind of uses the same system as America, but everywhere I've been, it's always been the same way. You press down to turn it on and up to switch it off. So yeah.
Thing that we found surprising when we arrived in England was that power outlets have to be switched on to use them. So it has like a little switch next to it, and you have to turn it on in order to use electronic appliances. So many times we've tried to boil like hot water for tea or coffee,
Or charge my phone.
and you forget to switch the power outlet on, and it doesn't charge, or the water doesn't boil, and you're like, I kind of like that though, because as I heard someone say the other day, it prevents like children from sticking things into the sockets and getting electrocuted. So I like that idea.
And then also, like in America,
Do you know that is actually shocking to me, because I feel like everywhere there should always be like a circuit breaker to be able to control the flow of current. In places where this is not being used, I think you should start using it. Come on.
when we go on vacation or something like that, you have to run around the house and unplug everything so it doesn't.
exhausting.
It's not a fire hazard.
Or even like every night you try to like unplug it, you know?
Yeah. Here, you just turn the outlets off. So that's actually kind of cool. It was shocking, but it's kind of cool, and we'll probably try to do that on our own house one day.
Yeah,
Oh, so are you saying one switch just controls all the whole sockets? Oh, okay. That makes sense.
Number 6, something else that has been a little shocking for us is that tipping here is a bit different than back in the States. Whereas in the States, when you go to a restaurant, any receipt that you get is going to have a tip line where you write the tip. Here at restaurants, they don't have that. And most cafes don't even have a tip jar. And so it's been really confusing for us to figure out what we do for tipping.
I've heard
Just give
also
the-
tipping is super minimal here. Like if at all, it's
Yeah.
like just really minimal. So that's definitely different than America, where as a server you're like 20% or you're a bad table sort of.
Yeah. Question though, for the English folk in the audience, when I'm at a restaurant and they give me a receipt that doesn't have a tip line or anything on it, what am I supposed to do? Do I tip? Or is
Do you
that
just
just
leave
like
it on
a
the
no
table?
tip? Yeah, do you leave it
Yeah.
on the table, or is that just like we all agree that there's no tipping going on in this situation? Please let me know down in the comments so I don't make any social faux pas.
Okay, so this one I have a lot to say about it. I think just give the waiter the tip, because I've also had a bit of struggle with this. It's not like I come from a place that like tipping is kind of like the culture, but sometimes when I like the service, I feel I have to tip, and most times they just like ask the waiter politely, is it okay if I tip and stuff, and they're like, oh yeah, it's fine. Then I just hand it over to the waiter, and it's always an awkward 30 seconds handing it to the waiter and stuff, but just give the waiter, I guess. They deserve it the most anyway, so.
Number 7. Real quick, I was just going to mention that in grocery stores here in England, they generally have a much larger selection of cheese than they do back home in the States, which I'm not going to complain about. I love that.
Amazing.
I think it's just a lot more in the culture here, I guess, than it is back home. Whereas back home, you usually only have like a couple different kinds of cheese to choose from, and not like,
Cheddar, Gouda,
not like mozzarella or Parmesan.
mozzarella, yeah.
Not like specialty cheeses. Here
Oh.
you have like many different types, and
Okay.
there'll be different ages as well.
Number 8. This is one you hear a lot, probably, but we don't know which direction to look when we cross the road. And this is
Yes.
for a couple of reasons. One, people here drive on the left side of the road, and so that's confusing. But 2, there are also a ton of one-way streets here, both in London and in the villages that we've been in and towns. Lots of one-way streets that aren't obvious one-way streets. And so when we cross, it is so confusing to know
Which way to look?
which way to look. And so,
It's quite dangerous, actually.
yeah.
You know, like, I am in fear of being struck by an automobile. Sounds ridiculous.
That was
but,
yeah. We're working on our English accent.
That wasn't an English accent. That was just
wasn't?
me.
That was an English accent. Yeah, that was.
In London, though, there is a nice. I think it's so polite and courteous how they put on the ground like, "Look this way."
Yeah.
It's so funny. Before crossing the street, there's like paint on the sidewalk that says "Look left" or "Look right" or "Look both ways." And so
Yeah.
I thought that was kind of cool. I was like, "Oh,
That was really good.
these English folk have our back."
Yeah, they know
Maybe.
we're stupid.
Number 9.
Okay, so that is actually in every city. Look left, look right, look this way, wait, stop, don't move. But the thing is, I lived in Cyprus for 7 years, and Cyprus actually uses the same system as the UK, so I got used to that over time, and I'm telling you, it's difficult, because moving from Nigeria, I think I almost got hit like 3-4 times before I finally learned to be patient. No matter the direction, just be patient, just wait, look left, look right, look left again, look right again, and then cross. Yeah, so I struggle with that, but right here in the UK, no, I don't struggle with that.
9. This is more of a question, but it was also a very big culture shock. Why are there 2 separate spigots for hot and cold water? this? Like, somebody please explain. I don't understand this.
It's
Like,
annoying.
do you want to wash your hands in freezing cold water, not kill any of the germs? I don't know if that's correct, but whatever, that's what I think. Or do you want to scald yourself so that you can't even feel, and then you have to be fed by your husband for the next few days? Like, choose.
It was very confusing, and this is not just something we've seen in homes, but we've seen it in museums, in churches, in cafes, and
True.
restaurants.
Everywhere in the restroom,
Yeah.
it's two separate.
Two separate spigots, and you get scalding hot water or you get
Ice.
freezing cold water.
And so, like, what I was doing, I know this
You
is
just stand up and
ridiculous,
go,
but yeah,
throw
I was
them
just
together.
like throwing them together and like. Somebody explain, because somebody's got an explanation for why
there's
this is better, I'm
reasons.
sure.
So I've heard the logic is you should be able to mix hot water and cold water inside a bowl, and then you get the warm water. But I don't think everyone has time for that. And also, what about places like the museum, or about places like church, or like anywhere where you need to wash your hands? I think now there are more taps with both of them coming from the same, so you just have to balance it.
Explain it to us.
It's not.
Number 10, it was shocking to us how much people jaywalk here. We had been warned by friends that, hey, just so you know, in London, it's okay to jaywalk. But when we came here, it was just surprising to see how frequently everyone jaywalks. Literally, everyone jaywalks all the time. Yeah, it's constant jaywalking. And
It's not
we're
a
coming
crime.
from Seattle, which is, I think, in the United States, we are famous for being a city that no one jaywalks in. So it was really shocking to come to England and no one, it's just like
Constant jaywalking.
Look, run. Look, run.
Which makes you feel extremely stressed out as foreigners because we don't know which way to look. So we're like, oh, we can't just wait for this light, which is gonna last forever. We should jaywalk, but then we don't know which direction the cars are coming from. So if we jaywalk, we might die. So it's kind of like,
And then you know who the foreigners are because they're the ones
They're
that
the
are
dead
waiting
ones.
for the light.
oh.
For
Wow.
that. Thank you guys so much for watching. We hope you enjoyed this video. If you've ever visited England, do drop a comment down below and let us know what culture shocks shocked you. I'd love to hear what your experience visiting this country was like. And if you liked this video, make sure you hit that like button so that YouTube shows this to more people.
And subscribe down below so that you can get more travel
Yeah.
in your life.
Hitting the
Subscribe.
subscribe button will make sure that our travel videos and more videos about England.
Thing is, I actually like this video so much. It says a lot about the things I faced and some things I had already got used to before coming here. But I can understand people coming from places like the US, South Korea, or other places that use kind of like an American system. Yeah, it's going to be difficult for them. To be honest, there are a lot of other things I feel like they could have mentioned, but probably with more time and after spending more time, they will realize some more things. The amount of tea British people drink is crazy. I never expected it. So much tea, like in the morning tea. Can I have a brew, please? Yeah, tea without milk, with milk, anyhow, just bring the tea. Yeah, love it. Thank you guys for watching, and until we see you next time. Peace out.